Hey there! Today we're going to have a look at a very interesting pen. A pen that, first of all, just so you know, it's going to be a ballpoint. Alright, it's not going to be a fountain pen. But I definitely thought this one was worth it. I was contacted by Stephan and Stephan has developed a pen I found fascinating. I'm just looking for it. Here we go, Stephan. All right, Stephan. First of all, I like his name, obviously, and he developed a pen that he wants to send me one to review, and I thought it was very cool. So I said, sure, go ahead. Very short backstory. I'm just going to read it from the press release that came with it because that makes sense. I have created this unusual writing instrument in honor of my grandfather, Niels Jürgen Probst, who, at the time of his life, never left the house without his beloved Leica M3 camera. The special design of the cameras of the 1950s and 1960s has always fascinated me. He made a ballpoint that was, or that is, I should say, based on a vintage camera. And I think that's a very unique concept. I don't know of anything else that looks like this. So I'm just checking out what was in the package. So if you don't know, this is what such a camera would look like. All right. Note in particular the black stuff and the little turning knob at the top there, because I'll come back to that. Whoops, dropped it. There is a little sort of flyer that goes along with it. And there is a nice information sheet. And one thing that's interesting is that there are only 500 of these pens made, and it's all assembled in Germany by hand, etc. So it's pretty interesting. Now I'm going to try to show you what's interesting about this pen. All right, box has a little sleeve. You have the box. It's a nice box. It's very smooth, and it says SC Lucht und Probst. The box, I already took the pen out, but I'll show you the pen in a second. It's one of these boxes that you've seen before. You have the little bed, you can take it out and all that. It's a cute box. Now, here we have the pen. It comes in a little leather pouch, which is also quite nice. Also has that really nice leather smell, and this is very nice leather. It's very supple, soft. I like it. And it says Fotografica Pen. Alright, now here's the pen. I'll show you the parts. Tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and I will do a writing sample. Alright, now this is not a fountain pen, so I cannot show all the things that I usually show, but I do want to share some interesting details with you. Alright? The pen. Alright, this is the entire pen. Let's start at the top there. There's a little camera symbol and something that looks a bit like a little lens in the center of the camera. I'll come back to that in a second. This nice button has knurling, and if I remember correctly, it's all magnesium, so it's all material that is used in cameras, or was used in cameras. Alright, so this is the knob to, I'm just going to have to put down my white card, sorry. This is the knob to engage the tip. I know that's not in focus, but there we go. So it works well, and it does feel like one of those old turning knobs on a camera, which is cool. Then you have the actual pen body, which is that sort of fake leather feeling that cameras used to have. The clip is spring-loaded. It says Fotografica Pen and has the camera symbol on it again. And this is a lever, some would say lever, that was also on old cameras. And I remember we had this old camera that indeed had one of those little handles you could use. And then finally, all the way at the end here, you have this magnesium tip, and there is writing there too, and it says SC Lucht and Probst. Okay, now what's fascinating? I mean, so far I find this interesting. It's a smaller pen. It's not a very large pen, and some cool details. It does give you sort of a camera vibe. So for all photography fans, I think it's very interesting. What's really interesting is that there is a 2mm lens in here, in the end cap to activate the tip. And there is a little lens from the 1950s, 2mm lens, and a Stanhope lens, Stanhope device. So what that is very, very briefly, that was basically sort of pocket microscope. You have two convex lenses, and you could the focal length of those two lenses in the actual device. You can take that device. This is and you put it on something, and you can look at it as a sort of pocket microscope. That's what they used a long, long time ago, and it's interesting. And that was something like that was put in here, and there's also an old sort of micro photo in there. And if you hold this up to the light, then you can actually see that. So you have old landscape photos. Now I'm going to put this very close to the camera lens, and I would not at all be surprised if this is not going to work. But there we go. You can see that there is something going on in there, and the camera probably can't focus on that, but that's okay. You can see that there is something. So you can look through this, hold against the light, and you can see some French landscapes. I was just looking at Cannes, for example. So interesting. I think that is very cool. It's definitely a bit gimmicky, but if you make a pen in honor of photographs, I think that's a very cool thing to incorporate. Okay, now what do I like about it? What do I not like about it? I like the feel of the pen. With the metal, with this sort of fake leather, it does give that old camera feel. It does. It works, and I really enjoy that. I do find it comfortable. It's on the heavy side, and it's a very pleasant writer. There's a very nice refill in this. I don't know anything about ballpoints or ballpoint refills, but this is the Schmidt Easy Flow. I just took it out. And it works. It's a very pleasant, soft writing experience. So I really like that. If you have to carry a ballpoint, then something like this is definitely worth it. I like that. I like the eye for detail. I like that camera feel. The cute little lens in the back. It's fun. There's a lot of nice stuff. And as I said, everything has. This is like a camera part, this is like a camera part, this is like the camera body. It's all very cool. I like all of that. Now, things I don't like so much. One thing that a friend of mine noticed, but that I had also noticed, is that the negatives don't line up with the little camera on this thing. And that's... I probably shouldn't call them negatives. It's probably a proper photographic term. But so if you look at the look through the lens like this, and then you won't see them. You have to turn the camera around. Is that a big deal? No, it's just a very minor detail. But if you're nitpicking, then that's one of the things you could point out. And I think that the biggest issue with the pen is that it costs 275 euros. So what you have here is an expensive pen. Now you have to bear in mind, it is limited edition, it is hand assembled, and they put in an actual 2mm lens from the 50s. They put in the Stanhope viewing device. So I do understand that there is considerable effort and considerable skill required to put all that together on a small scale, etc. I do see and I do understand how that would add to the price. But of course the question you want to see answered is it worth 275 euros? Well, this being a ballpoint, especially this being a ballpoint of a fairly small size, I don't know if everyone would be able to justify that price for themselves. I think if this would be an oversized ballpoint, maybe something like this is just a Lamy All-Star, if it would have that size and also that girth, it would be bulkier, it would be bigger, it would give people, it would also be quite a bit heavier, but I think it would give people more the idea that it's a really solid, heavy, big pen. I think that would help, because I was looking at this and I mean, in hand it's definitely not an enormous pen. That's it. So I see the issue, I see the point, I see that it's limited, I see that there's craftsmanship in this, I see that there's a cute little lens, I see that they thought about this, Stephan thought about this, so it's definitely very fascinating and I really enjoy using it. But is it worth it for everyone? I don't think so. I can see that if you are a photography nut, or if you have someone in your circle of friends who is a photography nut, then this would be a superb gift, just because they will recognize the parts, and they will see that they will appreciate the lens in it. So it's definitely something that I think has a lot of potential. So I would really like to see more pens, different pens, and see what happens. Now, if you are interested, because it's possible you want to get one, this is the website, Ink in the Blood, very appropriate. Go there, check it out, see if you want to pick one up. Alright? Okay, next up, measurements of the pen are on the website sbrebrown.com, as well as high resolution pictures taken by Gourmet Pens. I'm going to do a writing sample, that's coming up next. Stephan, thanks a lot for sending me one, I really appreciate it. I really enjoy using this pen, even though it's a ballpoint. I know it's basically committing social suicide to say that as a fountain pen reviewer, but even so, I really enjoy using it. Let's see how it writes. Hope this was useful so far, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so here we go with the Fotografica pen. It has been often pointed out to me that with a ballpoint my handwriting suddenly looks even more terrible than usual. Also, of course, I typically do fountain pen reviews, and this is not a fountain pen, so I can't do some of the tests that I would usually do. The tip is smooth, it's a pleasant writer, it doesn't give a very scratchy sensation or something when you use this, so I do really like that. Fast writing. As you can see, there's no real skipping or anything, so it does give a nice consistent flow. Wetness, well, that's slightly different with a ballpoint than a fountain pen, of course, but you see that that is a wettish writing liquid that's in there. Line variation, yeah, you don't really get that with a ballpoint, but with pressure at the right moments you can get the idea of some line variation. Of course, there's no reverse writing because it's a round tip. And that's pretty much all there's to it. So, very kind thanks to Stephan for sending me one for review. I do appreciate it, and I'll gladly see you later.